Hello, everyone. We are picking up with our second half, Volume D, Chapter 1, A Boy Who Loved History. When World War I ended, many Americans decided to live it up, go to the movies, drive cars, and cheer baseball stars. Yes, there was unemployment and hardship, but mostly there was prosperity. The 1920s were called the Roaring Twenties. It was a time when many Americans tried to get rich quickly. Quite a few did just that by pouring their money into the stock market. But the stock market was like a balloon being pumped full of hot air. In October 1929, when the prosperity balloon burst, the country tumbled into a deep depression. The Great Depression was a national calamity. People were starving in what was supposed to be the land of plenty. The gap between the rich and the poor grew bigger and bigger. Across the nation, homeless people huddled in cardboard shacks in shanty towns called Hoovervilles after President Herbert Hoover. In cities, people could not find jobs. Many farmers lost their farms, or in the vast region called the Dust Bowl, watched their land turn to dust during a long and terrible drought. Some people began to talk about the failure of democracy and capitalism. Our nation, the world's most industrial nation, was unprepared for the calamity, and President Hoover didn't understand there was the need for new thinking. Like many Americans, he clung to the wrong parts of our economic past. He believed the nation's problems could be solved if individuals helped themselves and each other. He said, I don't believe that the power and the duty of the general government ought to be extended to the relief in individual suffering. While Hoover was a brilliant engineer, as president, he was not the man for the times. The United States needed someone who would be open for new ideas, someone who would take charge. And that was just what we got. Fortunately, he was not like the dictators who appeared in Europe: Mussolini in Italy, Hitler in Germany, and Stalin in Russia. He was a strong leader who believed deeply in democracy and in America's constitutional heritage. He had been taught that being a good citizen means serving your country. His name was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He became the most loved president since Abraham Lincoln. He was one of the most dynamic, active men in all of American history. And that is amazing because he could hardly stand up. Franklin Roosevelt's family was full of stories, and all his life he listened to them. His father, James Roosevelt, could remember the Civil War. He told Frank stories of Abraham Lincoln and of the general who gave Lincoln a hard time, James' friend, General George B. McClellan. Franklin Delano Roosevelt loved history. He loved the way history can connect you to past times. His own family connections went way back into early American history. The first American Roosevelt was a Dutch farmer named Cleis. He arrived in New York about 1950, or I'm sorry, 1650. One of Cleis's grandsons started the rival Thomas Jefferson, whom young Roosevelt really admired. He tried to find some connection between Isaac and Jefferson, but he never could. Years later, when Franklin Roosevelt became president, he tried to be like Jefferson and concern himself with the average citizen, whom he called the forgotten man. However, he also believed, like Alexander Hamilton, in the importance of a strong federal government. Franklin's father wasn't the only one with stories to tell. His mother talked about her family, the Delanos. The first American Delano was French and a Huguenot, and he arrived at Plymouth Colony in 1621. He missed the Mayflower by a year. It was love that brought him to America. He was in love with Priscilla Mullins. She must have been special. Miles Standish and John Alden loved her too. She married Alden and rejected the Frenchman Philippe Delano, who some years later married an Englishwoman named Hester. Then he dropped the "ye" from his name and became Delano. The Roosevelts and the Delanos prospered in America, most of them. Like Theodore Roosevelt, became Republicans. But James Roosevelt, Franklin's father, was a Democrat. When Franklin was 5 years old in 1887, his father took him to meet President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland was the first Democrat to be president in 28 years. James Roosevelt had contributed money to help him get elected, but being president is not an easy job. The day young FDR visited, the chief executive was tired. "My little man," said the huge president to the small boy dressed in a sailor suit standing in front of him, "I am making a strange wish for you. It is that you may never be President of the United States." Well, you know how kids are. Just tell them what you don't want them to do, and that is what they're going to go for. So it may have been that day that Franklin Delano Roosevelt first got the idea he would like to be president. Here's a picture of James Roosevelt, who helped inspire his young son's love for history. Here is FDR at age 5 with his mom. Here is a picture as a boy. He was called Frank. As an adult, he was Franklin or FDR. Here they are enthusiastically greeting him. And on the first page, a depression is a time of decline in business activity accompanied by fallen prices and high unemployment. The Great Depression, which is what it came to be known, was much different. It hurt more people, rich and poor, than any previous depression before it, and it went on and on. In the Dust Bowl, thousands of families faced financial ruin as they were forced to abandon their drought stricken land. Thank you. Have a great day.